I'm going to tell you what some of these TED Talks are saying. Okay. And once again, this isn't to throw shade, it's just the truth. I'm speaking my truth here. All right.
When adversity came, I could have fell apart, but I chose instead to follow my heart. When adversity comes, I will never run, I will adjust, adapt, and overcome. Vision.
Welcome back. Welcome one. Welcome all to your one stop shop for everything empowerment. I am your host, Tariq Williams. And not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope. Let's get into it. And so this episode, I think they're all interesting. I think I start off most episodes by saying I think this one's going to be interesting. Well, I think they're all interesting. But what's interesting about this episode is that I started off this episode and thinking about the word connection and making connections. And I was curious to know what other people thought about the word connection. And I did some research and looking to see what other people thought about the word connection. And then I stumbled upon, as you all know, TED Talks. And as you saw in the title, and I've seen several TED Talks. So it led me down a little bit of some listening and a journey of curiosity. And well, here we are. We're talking about TED Talks, but specifically about empathy and why I think that some of the TED Talks that I stumbled upon, their thought process is a little bit incomplete. Now, what I will say is this. So don't start saying that I'm not trying to create no like rap beef or anything like that. I'm just giving my opinion. I think it's incomplete and I want to share with the world why. Okay. So this isn't rap beef. This isn't 8 Mile, which you know what's crazy? There are gonna be people that listen to this that don't know what 8 Mile is. So for those of you who still think that you're young, think about this for a second. 8 Mile came out in 2002, which means that it is over 20 years old. How crazy is that? Great movie, by the way. And no, it is not Eminem's autobiography. It's just a movie that he stars in. Besides the point, nevertheless, I really felt like the thought process on empathy was incomplete. And so I want to share my perspective on it and be able to do so. First, I'm going to start with the definition of empathy and give you all a little bit of a story about myself. So, empathy being the ability, actually, let me ask Siri what the definition of empathy is. Let's see what she says. What's the definition of empathy?
The ability to understand and share the feelings of another.
The ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Perfect. Okay, we have that. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another individual. Perfect. So, let me tell you all a little bit more about me. And as you all know, I lost my vision as a teenager. Okay. And I had the opportunity to get support from a lot of different great people. Okay, friends, family, different teachers, etc. And I'll say this, I mean, it was a new experience for myself and a lot of people around me. And so there was some sympathy, but this isn't a debate between empathy or sympathy. That's not what we're doing here today. But there also was a lot of empathy. And so when I'm thinking about empathy and getting that ability of understanding, it's that listening, it's that ability to connect with that individual on different levels and meet them where they're at and have that understanding of the situation. Okay. And so I had some teachers and family that were interested in trying to figure out, I mean, help me figure out what was happening. Because once again, we weren't sure what was happening. There was a lot of confusion with the situation. But at no point were the individuals who were there for me, the teachers, the friends, the family, mentors, etc., were they looking down on me. At no point did they feel like I was less than. Okay. And so, with that connection here, it I'll say this, it helped me realize you all know how I feel about the word potential. If you don't know, well, if you know, you know. But anyways, the word potential is very important to me. And so it helped me realize once again that I wasn't less than and that I had some potential, okay? Because some of these individuals that were helping me out, teachers, friends, family, were thinking about how I could get through it, how I could move forward. What type of resources did Tariq need to be able to be successful? And at the time, once again, I had never met any blind people. And then I started meeting a couple blind people, and it was interesting get ready to connect and see that they were still living their lives. Like I think I was more with the first few blind people that I met. Once again, I was the first one. What's up, Tariq? But anyways, I met a couple others, and it was more. I still wasn't sure about it, but it was nice to meet some other blind people. And then 5 or 6 years later, I met a bunch at Louisiana Center for the Blind. Shout out Louisiana Center for the Blind. Okay. Now, with that being said, I was now surrounded by blind people doing a whole bunch of different things. And that was a whole nother level of empathy. So, what my friends and family were doing was empathy for sure. And then connecting with other people that were going through blindness, that knew about blindness, that knew that there were possibilities for blind people was a whole nother level of empathy. Okay. Now, with that being said, it was life changing because once again, I was able to be around people with not only shared thoughts of my ability, but some shared experience that I didn't know fully existed. So that was a whole another level of empathy and connecting with these individuals that were have gone through things similar to me. Now, I'll say this as I've painted the picture to help you understand and really go through that definition and my experiences of specific empathy, I'm going to tell you what some of these TED Talks are saying. Okay. And once again, this isn't to throw shade, it's just the truth. I'm speaking my truth here. All right. Now, they say that we should not look at empathy as a trait. Fine, cool. We should look at empathy as a skill. Now, here's the deal here that we should look at empathy as a skill. I mean, fine, like, that's cool. I guess we can do that. I mean, there's no rules, right? You can do whatever you want. We're all different people. However, empathy being a skill, I just don't know how I feel about that because, I mean, shooting a basketball is a skill, right? And I would consider empathy and shooting a basketball inherently different. And so I don't know if I can. I mean, the more you do anything, sure, it can become it's a skill. I mean, the just being real, the more that you're mean to people, the probably better you're gonna get at it until you think about changing something. And we're gonna get to that in just a moment here. That's why I said something because I'm about to get to the main point and why I think it's incomplete. I'm not gonna say that I disagree because I guess skill is correct because it tells you about the idea that there's potential behind your empathy. But I'll say this. The levels of empathy between the individuals that were trying to help me through my blindness versus other blind people, I wouldn't say that one is extremely different. They're different, but I wouldn't say that one is better than the other in a sense because ultimately they're different levels, right? They're just meeting you in different places and they're giving you resources that you're probably going to need at different points in time. And when you're hearing different perspectives and having different conversations, sometimes you need to hear something once, twice, three times from different people in different ways so that it can finally get into your head and think about it, right? It took me a little bit before I started believing in myself as an individual and building that confidence within myself. So, with that being said, there's different levels of empathy that's going to hit you differently. But is it a skill? Gosh, I mean, like I said, shooting a basketball is a skill. Um, some would say cleaning is a skill, and some would say that I don't have it that much. But that's besides the point. Nevertheless, I have the ability to do it. I should probably just do it more, and the more I do it, the better I'll probably get at it. But besides the point, I probably should just take the time to do it. And I guess the more you take the time to do something, the better that you're going to get at it. Now, why I believe it's incomplete is because empathy. I don't think it should be explained as a skill because just being real, anything in the world can be called a skill. How we need to think of empathy, one, it's a great thing to have. I think it's important for people to that life. Live that life. So, what I'm saying is, empathy is not only a skill, it's a lifestyle. It's a way to live your life. Empathy mindset, if you want to call it that, but ultimately living a life, living morally in a way that you have an empathy mindset and that empathy is truly a part of your thought process. So when you're living your life on the daily, it's just a thing. It's just a thing to be empathetic towards others, right? Because think about it. If we approach the world with an empathy mindset, not just one of us, but two of us or a bunch of us, imagine if I'm going through something like my blindness, etc., and someone else is not necessarily talking at me, but listening to what I'm saying and working on trying to connect with me, or if someone else is going through depression or some type of loss, and I'm listening and connecting, and maybe I have a lived experience, then we can connect on a different level that's empathetic. And so, the two things that people need to realize about empathy that I think are key and can talk to us about the different levels of empathy is one, the intention behind it. The intention behind it is ultimately trying to live a lifestyle that is empathetic, intention on being empathetic. And two, just ultimately someone else's lived experiences and their ability to actually relate and connect with you on that. When we're talking about lived experiences, not everyone has the same lived experiences. So I'm probably gonna be able to empathize with someone that has blindness or gone through particular obstacles in a way that someone else that may be sighted cannot. But yet, maybe if another individual does the research to learn and be around blind people, then you start building that empathy. See, the thing about it is, ultimately, there's nothing in life when we talk about a lot of these different mindsets that's not a lifelong learning journey, like a lifelong learner. Okay, if you go through life and work on learning something new every single day, you're headed down the right path in terms of this empathy mindset. But not only empathy, now we're getting into goals. And well, you know how I talk, I mean, this episode's not about goals, so you don't want me to get on that tangent today. All right. But ultimately, have the perspective, have the mindset of thinking about life and living a life that has an empathy lifestyle so that you can connect with others on a different type of level. And when you can do that, you create some more strong relationships. You work on your listening skills. You'll be able to give value to others in ways that you're like, wow, I didn't really say too much. I kind of just listened and was able to give value. So I'm not trying to start beef, but and real quick, Ted, if you're listening, I don't know, Ted, if you're listening, TEDx Talks, I would love to be. I hope to be a speaker on a TED Talk one day. Hold up, let me go back. I don't hope to be on a TED Talk one day. I am going to be on a TED Talk one day. We're manifesting this right now. We're talking about it. We're not talking about if trying. When is what we're doing. Okay. And so I will be on a TED Talk one day. Maybe I'll talk about this moment and how I bashed Ted for a little bit, but it wasn't about the bashing piece. It was about something that I believe, based on my lived experience, was incomplete. And ultimately, it's not about empathy being a skill, it's about a lifestyle. And with that, live that We Are Vision of Hope lifestyle, build and grow every single day, get the free guide, How to Win Every Day, navigating the difference between goals and expectations. And with that, not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope.
When adversity came, I could have fell apart, but I chose instead to follow my heart. When adversity comes, I will never run, I will adjust, adapt, and overcome. Vision.